Are you pregnant and so tired? Being exhausted during pregnancy, especially during the early stages, is normal, but it's also a really big life transition and something you have to adapt to. So today we're going to talk about why it happens and what you can do about it. Hi, I'm Rachel Moises, a mama of 8 from the Mighty Mama movement.
And I'm Heather, a family nurse practitioner and midwife.
So I've been pregnant 8 times, and I can tell that I'm pregnant before I have any other symptoms because I start falling asleep at about 7 p.m.
Yes.
As long as I'm holding still, I will fall asleep. And that's the first thing that tells me, might be pregnant. So why is that? Why do you get so tired, especially early on?
So one reason that you get tired so quickly is progesterone rises when you're pregnant. And progesterone has an effect that it can put you to sleep.
Okay.
So for instance,
It's sedating.
It is sedating. So when I have to put women on progesterone, I tell them, take this as you are crawling into bed because it will make you so tired, which can be really nice to help
get a good night's sleep.
Yeah. So as that progesterone rises, that is one thing.
And at what point does progesterone sort of peak and start leveling back off?
So at about 12 weeks, the placenta takes over the progesterone. And so the woman doesn't need to create as much progesterone herself.
Okay.
So around the 12-week mark.
Which is why usually you aren't feeling quite so tired, or at least part of why. Another reason?
Just you are growing another baby. That takes a lot of energy to grow that baby, and your body gives that energy to baby to kind of help grow. And it's amazing. You will be like, I can't lift my leg. I remember, do you remember the crocodile hunter?
Mm-hmm.
So his wife was talking about how when she was pregnant, and she didn't know how exhausted she would get. And she said they were wrestling a crocodile and he needed her help. And she goes, I couldn't lift my legs. I couldn't. And she said he got mad at her after they had gotten the crocodile secured. And he said, what happened? And she said, you don't understand how exhausting it is. She goes, I could not lift my leg. Even though I wanted to help you, I needed to help you. She goes, I couldn't lift my legs to help you to put them over, around on this crocodile. Mm-hmm. And so she talked about that fatigue and exhaustion that happens and how, don't put yourself in a position like wrestling a crocodile when you're pregnant.
So, and the problem here is that this is really early on in your pregnancy, like sometimes before you even realize you're pregnant. And so it can feel like but otherwise don't really feel like you're pregnant. Maybe you're starting to feel sick, and that's your other sign. You can't tell there's a baby in there. You're not getting a big belly. You think of pregnancy fatigue as hauling around a huge belly. That's kind of tiring, but it's actually not nearly as much as the early stages. You have to remember your baby, like the whole baby, the organs are being formed and then they grow and continue to develop. Right. But like the initial formation of organs is a energy dense activity.
Yes.
So you have to give yourself some grace and maybe also explain to your partner, because it can be easy for them to also be like, well, you're like barely even pregnant. Like, what's the deal that you're, falling asleep so easily or resting so much and lying around extra? And that's something you really need to do, is give yourself some grace and realize that you actually are doing a lot. It's just that you're not actively doing it. And so if you can't get as much done, that is okay, because you actually are getting more done than usual. You're not usually creating a human being.
Exactly.
And so this is a lot of extra work that your body is taking on. Okay, mama, quick mom-to-mom moment. I have to tell you this because I wish someone had told me. As you may know, I'm a mama of 8, and my first 3 births were rough. I just thought birth was supposed to be that painful. Nobody ever pulled me aside and said, hey, there's actually a better way. Then with my 4th baby, Heather, the midwife and nurse practitioner here, taught me something completely different, a method I had never seen in any book or video or internet research. And I ended up dilating to 10 centimeters with 0 pain. After 8 babies, I can honestly tell you this method works. Most mamas just never learn these strategies. Even if they want to avoid an epidural, they feel like they will cave once things get intense. That was totally me. I had done so much research, but I never found a real method that made birth actually manageable. And that's why Heather and I started teaching this, because birth does not have to feel like torture. So here's your little insider tip. We put together a totally free class for you. It teaches the most effective technique to reduce contraction pain and gives you a sneak peek of our full 10-step practically pain-free birth method. If there's even a tiny part of you that hopes birth could be easier, click the link below and grab your spot. Seriously, you will be so glad you did.
And if you're able to get naps in, I know that's really hard if you're working a full-time job, but
or if you have other kids.
Exactly. But napping is crucial because you just want to fall asleep. Like you said, you sit down and you're like, and I'm out.
So, like a grandma. My grandpa used to do that every time he sat on our couch. He would doze off. We'd tease him about that. That's how it feels when you're pregnant.
Yes, definitely. So another reason that you can have exhaustion has to do with your lab work. So in a typical OB panel, they are going to check your hematocrit and your hemoglobin. So that's your first key. Are you anemic? Because when you become pregnant with that blood volume expansion, your hematocrit and hemoglobin will naturally go down. So if you started pregnancy at, let's say, 12.1, you are going to drop below that and go into anemic levels. And so it is really important that if you're planning pregnancy, get your hematocrit and hemoglobin up into like the 14 range if you can, even the 15 range, which is high for women. It's hard to do because of our monthly cycles and stuff. But if you can, because it will drop. So have your doctor look at that, or your midwife, right? Have them look at it and see if you are anemic. And let's say you're not. Let's take it one more step. Ask them to look at your ferritin, because it used to be thought in the medical world that if your hematocrit and hemoglobin were fine, then your ferritin should obviously be fine. But what we're finding a lot more is someone's hematocrit and hemoglobin are great and their ferritin is abysmal. And so in my practice, we check everybody's hematocrit and hemoglobin, but we also check their ferritin, which is your iron carrying, the oxygen attaches to that, and that gives you your energy and stuff. And so we test everybody's ferritin, especially someone that comes in and says, I am really, really tired. Then we'll test that. Like, let's say they transferred into care, we'll test that ferritin. So getting your iron supplementation high enough if you're having hematocrit, hemoglobin, or ferritin issues is very, very important. And that's why most prenatals contain iron because of that.
So with one of my pregnancies, we did my OB panel. Is that what you call it?
Yeah.
And Heather told me that I needed to take iron supplements because my levels were low. And I was like, okay. And I went into my next appointment, which this was early on in pregnancy, so that was a month later. And she asked me if I'd been taking the supplements she told me. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't gotten around to buying it yet. You know, I mean, she's like, aren't you really tired? Yeah, of course. Like right? She's like, oh, well, maybe you should take the iron supplement. But I used to being tired. Like it still felt normal to me for pregnancy tiredness. And so I didn't bother. But moral of the story, don't do that to yourself. If there's something you can do to help with what feels maybe like normal pregnancy tiredness, then do it. Not only will it help with your energy levels, it will help with other things in your body that you need iron. It's not just for energy.
And having the right supplement is really, really important too. A lot of doctors will just prescribe iron or ferrous sulfate, and that's going to make you constipated. It's going to make you nauseous, and your body does not absorb it well at all. And so looking at more gentle types of iron is really important. Always, always, always take it with vitamin C, and never take it with calcium. So milk within 2 hours of that. And if you can take it on an empty stomach, which iron sulfate, there's no way you'd be able to take it on an empty stomach. But if you can take it on an empty stomach with the vitamin C, orange juice, that kind of thing, your body will absorb it even better.
So if you're taking a multivitamin or prenatal with iron in it, you should not take it with like a glass of milk, for example?
Don't take it with milk.
Okay.
And if you can, take it on an empty stomach, which is very, very difficult because most women are nauseous and that, so it is what it is. So that's why some women will take it at night. And then change brands until you find a brand that is gentle on the stomach. Most of the ones that are good absorbable and have good absorption and are more gentle are ones that are not just iron. They're like a Hemoplex, where it has the B12, it has the folate, it has the iron. It's not a prenatal, it's an iron supplement, but it has vitamin C and stuff to help with that absorption. Mm-hmm. So those are good ones.
Okay.
And then the other lab that is rarely looked at, that I think is very important to go over, is the thyroid. Because if you have a high thyroid, you usually have high energy. Those are the usually very, very thin people because their metabolism's just going like crazy. But low thyroid, which is more common, that is someone that's going to make you very sluggish. And it changes in pregnancy. In fact, somebody that is having thyroid issues, I have to check their thyroid every trimester, including after the baby is born, that what we call the 4th trimester, because that can make them so sluggish and exhausted. And most providers, because we're taught in school, just test the TSH with a reflex to T4. And what that means is if your TSH is out of normal, then they will test the free T4, which is how much T4 is floating in your body. Mm-hmm. Don't do that. Tell your provider you want a TSH, a free T3, and a free T4, because I have found the vast majority of times the TSH is normal, just like the hematocrit hemoglobin, normal. And the free T4 and the free T3 are on the low end. As pregnant women, we should never be on the low end of normal with our thyroid. That is vital to baby's development. It is vital to the placenta development. So many providers do not watch this. And so you want to tell your provider, hey, I need to be on the top end of normal. I'm a very big advocate of doing research and bringing it into your provider, because your provider cannot keep up with every new development, every new research, every change. And bringing them in the research can really help them, and it will help you in the long run. So if you've tested your hematocrit, you've tested your hemoglobin, you've tested your ferritin, all these things, have them test your thyroid and make sure, once again, it should be in the top half of normal, not the bottom half of normal. And many times providers will say, oh, it's normal. And you're like, yeah, by 0.1.
It barely made it in.
Barely. And those levels are 19 to 24-year-old men. Those levels are 40 to 50 years old when they made those levels. They were on 19 to 24-year-old men. And I tell my women, most of us aren't 19 to 24. We're definitely not men, and we are pregnant, which is a third species as far as how your thyroid handles. And so really fight to get that if you're finding fatigue is just unbelievable for you. Because like you said, you have the normal fatigue, but then you have fatigue where you're like, I can't
function. Yeah.
It will cause you to be, a lot of these things will cause you to be short of breath. Because you're going to be short of breath as it is, as the baby, your uterus grows, your lungs are getting, squished and they can't really expand. But you're like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Don't put up with that. Get help.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're not automatically testing thyroid for every pregnant woman? It's just
I do.
Oh, you do?
But most providers won't. Okay. Or like I said, they'll do a TSH with reflex to T4, which will catch only the extreme cases.
Okay. So for sure, if you're feeling a lot of fatigue and feeling like this is just too much, it doesn't hurt to get it tested. If the worst that happens is you find out it's normal and you're fine.
Exactly. It really is worth it. And I found that some providers I've had to really fight when I was pregnant and just going through life. I had to really fight for them to do the free T3 and the free T4 because all they wanted to do was the TSH. And I was like, no. I need you to test for more. Okay. And the insurance will pay for it. I've never had an insurance deny it in a pregnant woman ever.
So now you know, get it all tested.
Yeah.
Blood sugar is another factor that you need to take into consideration, and it can be a little bit harder to manage while you're pregnant.
Right.
So you want to talk to us about that?
Yes. So a lot of women will say gestational diabetes, if I have it, will there be any symptoms? And there typically won't, because your blood sugar levels are really high. But hypoglycemia, if you're not getting enough blood sugar or, sugars in your food, not real sugar, of course, we want you to stay away from hardcore sugar, but enough food, that way your blood sugar levels can crash, and that can cause exhaustion. Because once again, we're burning so many calories and so much energy growing this baby. We need a little bit more food in the good quality to keep our blood sugar levels stable. Otherwise, they can just crash, and that's going to cause exhaustion as well.
Okay.
So that's a good one.
Another thing is getting enough sleep, which sounds so obvious, but it can be hard. When you're pregnant, it can be hard to sleep. You can feel sick. You can have the insomnia that sometimes comes with pregnancy. You start getting uncomfortable as it moves further on.
Yep. Just uncomfortable body. I mean, I remember I was a one pillow person. One pillow. I became pregnant and I was like a pillow hog, and I finally got one of those huge pillows that goes around your whole body, and you're like, honey, this is like not just my half of the bed, but I'm going to take 3/4 of the bed with all my pillows now. Luckily, we had a king size bed, so it wasn't falling off, but I could not get comfortable. I don't know about you. Oh my goodness.
Another problem is having to get up and go pee in the night. That can disrupt, depending on how good you are about being able to get back to sleep.
Yes.
For me, what happens is I don't want to get up and go to the bathroom. And so for a while I'm putting it off, and that disrupts my sleep because I'm needing to go. And then it finally gets to where I'm like, wake up enough and okay, get your butt out of bed and just go pee. You're going to be grateful. And then I do. And I am grateful, but then sometimes you have a hard time falling back to sleep.
Oh yes. I remember the second trimester insomnia was a big problem for me. And so I would go to the bathroom, and then I'd go to bed, and I'd get all settled, and I'd have to pee again. So then I have to get out of bed and go pee again. Otherwise, all you think of is I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee, I have to pee. So then you would get in, you would settle in, and then the side I was laying on, my hip hurt. So then I had to roll over. And as you know, as you get near the end of pregnancy, rolling over is not easy. This is not an easy feat. Or getting out of bed. I would tell my husband, I would get all prepped and I'd move the pillow and I'd go, push me. Like I could not, because I had to have a soft bed. I need a little boost
out.
Yes, I had to have a soft bed because of my hips, like a mattress topper that I would sink into so I could get comfortable. But then I couldn't get out of it. And so I interrupted his sleep because he'd have to push me out of bed so that I could kind of, my feet fall to the floor and get out.
Here.
Yeah.
So what can you do about that? I don't really know.
There's not much. I mean,
sorry.
They say that having to pee all the time is the way the body trains you for breastfeeding in the night, that you're going to have to wake up a lot. But you don't want to stop drinking, because if you stop drinking, you can have contractions.
It's not going to even, you're still going to have to get up.
Yeah.
And the thing I want you to realize, if you're early on in your pregnancy still, you might think, why am I already having to pee all the time and I can't go through the night? It happens really fast. Like,
hormones.
I mean, even sometimes just on your period, you notice that you have to pee more frequently, because just that little bit heavier uterus, a little bit expanded, is enough to put the pressure on your bladder.
Exactly.
And you might be finding, when I'm not pregnant, if I need to hold it in for whatever reason, I can go quite a long time before it becomes painful, I mean, that hardly ever happens when you're not pregnant, at least for me.
Right.
But when I'm pregnant, like I get to that point of I'm in pain and I need to go to the bathroom so bad, like surprisingly fast. It just happens so fast, whether it's in the middle of the night or during the day. So it is advisable to go. It's better for you. You can avoid, we were talking about potential bladder infections, UTIs. You don't want to hold it in. It's not good to do it.
I found that when I was near the end of my pregnancy, if I held my bladder, it would cause contractions. So I had to go to the bathroom that way. So there's so many, acid reflux is another one. If you have acid reflux, you can't lay down very well. and you have to kind of sleep reclined, which
and it's
sometimes
just uncomfortable. Every discomfort makes it harder to sleep.
And I would remember the acid reflux coming up in the middle of the night, and that would wake me up, the acid burning in my throat, and I'd have to take something, you know, drink water, drink milk or something to flush the acid out of my throat. And I mean, we're making it sound so wonderful.
Yeah,
we're sorry.
Pregnancy is great.
But it's just a matter of, you have to learn coping mechanisms.
And also to a certain extent, just know that it's normal.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to get worried about all of these things. And, you know, we're going to validate you if these have been giving you problems and you're like, yeah, no wonder I can't sleep. Yeah, it is no wonder. Like, it's a real thing. It's true. Yeah. The best you can do is go to the bathroom right before you go to bed, figure out your pillow situation, you know, handle the acid reflux. We have some other videos where we talk about that, and just do your best to get through this. And then, like we said earlier, if you need to take a nap during the day, you have to give yourself grace and accept that you need to do that, and don't tell yourself that you're lazy. If you need to take a nap and you can't, that's where it becomes more problematic, because your body can only handle so much.
Yeah, exactly. And hopefully what we're telling you today will help you through that wonderful.
We give you one great big good luck. You can do it. You'll survive. Another thing, and we talked about this earlier, is hydration is actually a big factor. Even when you're not pregnant, a mildly dehydrated person is going to have more tendency to be fatigued, right?
Right. And you can also have, like, let's say you were outside, it was a hot day, picnic, yard work, the beach, whatever it was, and you became dehydrated. That can also throw off your potassium and your electrolytes. So now your legs are cramping. That can make your uterus cramp, because at the end of pregnancy, your uterus is the biggest, most powerful muscle in your body. And that's another reason why dehydration can cause the uterus to contract. Think of the Charlie horses you get when you're severely dehydrated. So definitely hydrate.
And keep in mind that a pregnant woman needs more water than a non-pregnant woman. So it can feel like you're drinking a lot of water, but you may want to track your water consumption to make sure that you actually are consuming as much as you think you are.
And look at the color of your urine. It should be more clear or light, barely any color, than orange or dark yellow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We hope that helping you understand your body is going to help you get through this fatigue phase of your pregnancy, and, you know, pay attention to the things that we said that you can try and do that will help, the things you want to get tested to make sure that those don't need to get taken care of. And then at the end of the day, if everything is healthy and normal and you're still tired, rest as much as you can, drink water, and just take care of yourself. And don't forget to check out our free online birth class, How to Give Birth with Practically No Pain, so that as you prepare for your pregnancy, you can learn all the things that you need to do to stay in optimal health and prepare for an optimal birth experience.